Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tom Griffiths. I'm a Director of Technology at ITV. I look after our content supply and distribution systems and platforms. That's everything from kind of content scheduling through to content distribution. And I'm delighted to be here today up in Manchester. Although I'm based in London, I was a student in Manchester. I worked some years ago on the BBC's move to Media City, so I have a warm place in my heart for Manchester. It's great to be up here. So we're going to talk to you today a bit about a digital transformation journey we're doing at ITV. But just saying a little bit first about ITV, I'm sure most of you probably know, but we're the largest commercial broadcaster in the UK, as well as being a public service broadcaster delivering regional and national news, sport, drama, entertainment and so on. Last year was a great year of performance for us. We had the 2 most watched soaps on any channel, Coronation Street coming from here of course, and Emmerdale. 5 of the 6 most watched dramas, the most watched sport on any channel, England versus South Africa, final of the Rugby World Cup. I don't need to say much more about Love Island, that's been a bit of a sensation. And all of that ultimately leading to us getting 98% of commercial audiences, over 5 million people on ITV. Actually, it was a great year on screen, not just on screen, but actually online as well. ITV Hub, our digital player, had audiences up 13%. Monthly active users up 28%, and actually we've got 30 million registered users on the platform now, including over 80% of all the 16 to 34s in the UK. But we're much more than this. We're not just a broadcaster, which is how you might traditionally think of us. We're also a global content producer now, not only producing content for ITV, but for UK broadcasters, international broadcasters, and indeed the big global OTT players as well. Last year we announced a new vision, here it is on the board, of our CEO Carolyn, and I get the particular things I've highlighted here about being digitally led, a media entertainment company, and particularly as well about content being wherever, whenever and however they choose. So not, if you like, just the traditional view of a broadcaster and content producer, but actually much more of a digital media entertainment company, delivering our content in whatever place, on whatever platform our consumers want to do it. We have a strategy to deliver on this, realise this vision, and a clear set of priorities to do that. And a key enabler for all of that is the digital transformation programme. Chrissie and I are going to talk about that today, what it means and how we're approaching it. Before I get into that though, I want to say something. Actually, of course, how you deliver the strategy and actually how you run your business is also really, really important. And at ITV, we've launched what we call the social purpose strategy. We recognise that we have a bit of a unique place here. Not only can we influence internally within our organisation, but as a broadcaster with huge audiences, with the talent that we have on screen, we can also play a role for the good in the wider economy, in the wider culture. And that's very much something that we want to use that opportunity to do. And we have these 4 priorities: better health, improving creating kind of greater diversity and creativity, reducing our impact on the environment, and also kind of giving back to our wider community. And I'm going to pick one of those in particular to talk about, and that is our impact on the environment. And I'll talk in a minute about the Green Team. Now, I brought this one out because I think it's particularly relevant when we're talking about a digital economy, and that's our responsibility to protect the environment as we kind of pivot to that type of economy. It's worth noting that content distribution and production are actually quite environmentally impacting process and productions, whether that's flying production teams around the globe or transporting them around the UK, whether that's actually the process of making programs itself, lighting, cameras and all those kinds of things, or indeed the content distribution, whether it be through high power masts for traditional broadcast, through satellite, or indeed over the web. We've established what we call the Green Team. This is made up of kind of a senior representation from across ITV's business, including our tech teams playing a key role in all of that. And actually, one of the things we've done is, together with 8 other leading media companies, we've joined together with Bristol University to create a pioneering tool to map the carbon impacts of the digital value chain. Now, it's actually really, really complicated to try and map out the total kind of, if you like, the energy and consumer impact of that supply chain right from beginning to end, if you include all of the internet services that go in between it, data centres, everything else that goes on. And this collaboration, 12-month collaboration, is going to use computer science researchers from Bristol University together with our teams and from BBC and others to try and map that out and create a tool effectively that will allow organisations to map what that looks like. And we think this is really important because as we move into digital platforms, what we don't want in that process is to actually make our impact worse rather than better. You know, we've committed as ITV to reducing our environmental impact in line with the best in climate science. And so actually how we make this transformation happen and that together really, really are important. Whilst I'm talking about technology, I'll just say a little bit about what technology has become in ITV. For the last 5 or 6 years, we've been building technology teams, so really strong emphasis, I guess, on growing our internal tech product capabilities, building on the success that we started, first of all, doing this for ITV Hub. We're now what I'd call all-in adopters of cloud compute. We're actively transforming our sisters out of our data centers, adopting SaaS products, and also driving forward with kind of best-in-class software architectures, modern open source programming, and building, if you like, autonomous, fully functional product teams that are cross-functional and kind of really, really embedded into the business. We're also big users now of kind of online collaboration tools. We were very early adopters of the Google G Suite. We use Slack, Trello, tools like that. All things that will kind of really help us to make this transformation. And importantly, I guess locally to here, we've really been building out our engineering hubs, not only in London and Leeds, but also critically in Manchester as well. We're actively recruiting at the moment, so if you're interested, do come and talk to me afterwards. So that's all good, but media consumption has changed and will continue to change, and we all know this, don't we, from our own viewing habits. Whilst I would say that the evidence shows that actually overall consumption of TV content is staying pretty flat, the way in which we all consume that content is undoubtedly changing. These are actually some statistics from Ofcom, who are the media regulator. And you'll see that over time, the amount of content that's being watched on live TV is gradually decreasing, and more content is being watched on VOD platforms. And depending on what demographic you're at, that can be happening at different rates. The lower one is actually 16 to 34s, and you'll see that actually that change is happening at a faster rate. And one of the impacts that we're seeing on that is the increasing content being watched on our own platforms as video on demand. Interestingly, the TV still seems to be reigning kind of king in all of this. It's not just mobile devices, but actually when it comes to kind of longer form TV content, people still want to watch that on the large screen. The difference is increasingly they're watching that as on-demand content, or if they're watching it as linear, they're watching it over an IP connection rather than traditional broadcast signal. So what does this mean for ITV, and how are we reacting to all of that? Well, I guess one thing fairly recent in the news is BritBox, which we launched in November last year. BritBox is an SVOD platform jointly owned by ourselves and the BBC, where we've put the best of British content on there. At the moment, BBC and ITV content, thousands and thousands of hours of it, but Channel 4 and Channel 5 content coming soon. We've also launched what we call Planet V, which is an end-to-end addressable advertising platform that goes everything from the buy side for advertisers to be able to buy advertising that can go onto ITV Hub as addressable targeted advertising, and gives them kind of all the real-time stats right through to the kind of optimization and delivery of that personalized content into ITV Hub. Both two big new developments we've had in the last year. So that leads neatly then to talking about digital transformation. So all of this change is happening, and how are we reacting to that? And I guess I'd say that, like a lot of organisations, and indeed most other broadcasters, that transformation has probably started out of what I call the edge. Traditionally, thinking about kind of direct-to-consumer propositions. In our case, I guess you could trace that right back to the start of ITV Player over 10 years ago, the predecessor of ITV Hub. And this has really been about transformation in order to deliver new products to consumers, giving them something new from the traditional experience. And that itself, of course, has fueled that appetite for video on demand. I'd say for most people in the industry, other than, if you like, the digital natives, that has effectively been about building a new business capability on and around the edge of our existing core business. Even within this decade, though, ITV Hub is already on its third wave of transformation. It started in a fairly traditional format. In 2015, we migrated it all to the cloud when we rebranded as ITV Hub. And then again, in the last year, we've been transforming the back-end platform so that it's an online video platform that supports not just ITV Hub, but also Hub Plus and BritBox. And then what's happened on top of that, as well as doing the edge, is what I'd call kind of pockets of transformation. Back in 2013, we started a project called the Technology Modernisation. And I think it's fair to say at that point, our focus was really on technology. It was about dealing with technology legacy, dealing with old systems, kind of initially with a focus around kind of business efficiency and risk reduction. And then that started to pivot towards business agility and recognizing that those systems and the way that they were integrated and the way that data was locked in them was actually inhibiting business agility. It was making it hard for us to adapt to changes as fast as we wanted to do so. But typically those changes were happening in pockets, and they were happening kind of where that need was most critical. They weren't happening everywhere. Just to pick out one example of that, and actually again it's an example in Manchester, a real example of what I call transformational success, where it moved beyond just being about the technology and actually became a whole holistic look at how the whole business changed. And that was actually working in partnership with BJSS. We built a platform called TalPay, which is a talent payment platform. Now, talent payment is a really, really complicated business in terms of how you pay royalties for different appearances. It's a very bespoke kind of function. And actually that's a great example where we've embedded the technology team in with the operations team. You simply can't work out who is who. Somebody has come out of the business, been trained as a product owner, really embraced that model, and actually it's led to something far more than just a new technology system, but a complete transformation of the way that works, bringing in self-service capabilities. So that leads me nicely then to talking about the digital transformation program itself. Now, with that new vision and strategy plan I talked about earlier, it's really imperative now that that digital transformation reaches out across the whole business. It can't just be in those kind of individual pockets. It's including accelerating the work we've already been doing on our content supply chain, driving in kind of data-driven insights. We started a project in the recent months with SPARCK and BJSS, looking at our scheduling systems and how do we actually transform those, not only to give greater insight and agility in the schedule now, but also allowing us to get better at planning content across all of these multiple platforms we're having to deliver to. Another example, based again here in Manchester, is a project called FreeCon, which is about how we manage the thousands and thousands of contractors we have coming in and out of ITV every week, particularly working on productions, cameramen, sound engineers and so on. But I think a key thing about this, all of that sounds like it's all about technology. If this is to really be a digital transformation, it can't all be about technology. And I think for me that's one of the really key differences, if you like, about the work that we're doing now compared to perhaps the work that we've focused on in previous years. This really is about the whole organisation adopting a digital mindset, adopting digital ways of working, transforming internal processes, and also through that enabling us to continue to transform those customer-facing products and platforms that we offer to people. It's also, I think, about helping our teams take a different approach. You know, traditionally people would come to us and say, we need a new system I need a system to do this, I need a system to do that. And they would tend to think very much in kind of an operational, narrow field of view. The danger of that, of course, is you end up just giving people a faster horse. They might get a nicer UI, they might get a newer system, but have you really changed the way that the business operates and made it more effective? So we're taking a different approach, looking at processes, thinking about end-to-end use cases, thin slice, looking at service design-led approaches, outcome-based planning, all of these good things which will actually help us to really make a difference now. And we're also looking at what it means for our people, addressing culture, skills, experiences that need to be adapted to really make this a success. Now, a key part for this actually is working with partners like BJSS and SPARCK to help us achieve this. Because we know while we've got some of these skills, we don't have enough of them, and some of them we don't actually have inherently internally yet. And they bring a capability which is really going to help us make this approach work. So at that point, I'll pass on to Chrissie.
So, ITV and SPARCK and BJSS, they've been successful partners, as Tom mentioned, now for I think about six years. You may not have heard of SPARCK, you've most certainly heard of BJSS, so I'm just going to introduce you to SPARCK. So we are, and this is great, I get to use this pun very often, we are the creative spark within BJSS. We're a group of, or a hive mind of designers, strategists and innovators, neatly nestled into a very successul software engineering organisation. And that gives us a very unique mindset and a very unique view. Our strapline essentially is we design to deliver to real people. So we're very much based and grounded in pragmatism. This is our current vision. So we're a design-led digital transformation partner working across the globe with clients just like ITV by introducing the design mindset and creativity and innovation to help organisations change. And we put people first. We're designers, right? So for us, the user is absolutely everything. And what's really fascinating is to use that mindset and that outlook when looking at digital transformation. As Tom mentioned, many organisations have the skills to execute. In fact, they're experts at it. They're experts at problem solving. Executive boards see problems, they employ people that are troubleshooters to go ahead and actually fix those problems. However, how many of those go out and turn inward and look for problems? Not very many at all. In fact, if you think back to when you were at school, how many classes did you have where you were told to go and look for a problem to solve? Probably not. It's a very different mindset. And that's what we as SPARCK bring to the digital transformation. We bring those core skills as designers, as innovators, as strategists, and we bring those skills and turn them inside. And we've done exactly that. So we've used design thinking principles and processes within ITV. We spent several months now with various different elements and various different parts of the organisation, actually asking the questions, understanding the problem in exactly the same way as one might do if we're designing a brand new product. But actually, the products we are designing is digital transformation in this case. This scribble beautifully depicts that whole, exploration process that you go through as a designer, where you kind of go, right, okay, where is the problem? Let's try and find some more problems, and that's what we've been doing. And we've been taking that holistic view. So I probably don't need to school anybody here in service design. Service design is about looking at a problem not in isolation. It's about building an application not in isolation. It's about building an application and looking at its whole ecosystem. Similarly, that's the adoption that we've taken with ITV in terms of their digital transformation. We've looked at how they are responding to the audience changes. We've looked at what the impact of digital transformation is for their workforces. The way that people want to work, currently especially, is changing. People don't need to or want to be chained to a desk. By putting people at the heart of the digital transformation, we've been able to create solutions that can be embedded and are sustainable. So, here are some of the things that we've been doing. So, in alignment with what Tom was saying, we put people first. We're creating advocates throughout the business, and we are upskilling and sharing capability. We are embedding that design thinking mindset, not just within technology, not just within the digital teams. We're actually looking to embed that mindset of digital thinking of let's go and have a look and find the problem to solve throughout the organisation. Those digital ways of working or behaviours are then underpin that mindset. And as we choose pieces of the organisation to work with, we are also delivering and realising value for those areas within the business. And this is obviously then underpinned by technology. There are significant digital roadmaps, as Tom was saying, that need attention, and we're equipping those teams and those areas with the same mindset, the same problem-solving mindset, the same adapt to change and adapt quickly. And how are we doing that? We're doing that through strategy, defining problems, all of the areas that, as SPARCK, we're experts in. We're researching. We are spending time with areas within the business. We're using service design principles, as I've sort of said, to understand what the infrastructure problems are, to actually understand the business as a whole. And then we're using product design, but actually product strategy, to underpin the changes that are happening within the organisation. Ultimately, we are designing to deliver. And that blend of skills makes us better together. Thank you.